The annual council for 2018. Welcome to members of the public and welcome to the press. As you all know, this annual council is very important. It's about nominating and agreeing the roles for various members for the ensuing year. First item on the agenda is the election of chairman for the year 2018-2019, and Councillor Molson has indicated that he wishes to stand again for chairman of council, and I was wondering whether there are any proposers or seconders for that position. Councillor Mumford?
I propose Councillor Molson.
I'll second. I have a proposer and a seconder. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, Chairman, could I propose, oh sorry, not Chairman, Chief Executive. Could I propose Councillor Francis?
I'll second the proposal. So that is proposed and seconded. Any further nominations? Okay, then thank you for those nominations. By tradition, convention, then I would like to ask Councillor Molson and Councillor Francis to leave the chambers, and then we'll go to the vote. Thank you. I'm going to take the vote in alphabetical order, as set out in our standing orders. So, if my alphabet is right, Councillor Francis is the first in the alphabet. So, can I have your votes, please, for Councillor Francis? 2, 3, 8. And can I have your vote, please, for Councillor Molson? 3. Any abstentions? Thank you. Hereby, Councillor Francis is duly elected as Chairman of Council for the year 2018. Okay. You're standing for the Chairman of Council. Thank you. So we're now moving to the declaration and acceptance of office of a chairman of council. Need to read it.
I, Robert Francis, having been elected to the office of Chairman of the Council of the Isles of Scilly, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
This declaration was made and signed before me, Theo Luijzer, the proper officer of the Council of the Isles of Scilly. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So now you can say a few words.
Yes. Thank you, members, for your support. It is much appreciated. I would like to thank Councillor Molson for his work during his year in the chair. We have an excellent team of members and officers in our council, and it is up to us now to build on this first year and to deliver on our aspirations for the forthcoming year. I will do my very best to help achieve our goals as your new chairman and justify the faith that you have put in me. I would like to echo our Chief Executive Officer's words and welcome our members, colleagues, public and press. We're very pleased to have Clive Mumford here this evening with us after 30 years as correspondent for the Cornishman, reporting on our council matters. And although I know you're retiring from that, Clive, we thank you very much for your work over the years and hope you will still continue to report on council matters. Thank you. I'd also like to welcome our 151 officer and our monitoring officer and the Reverend Jeremy Dare, who I hope after our next item on the agenda will lead us in prayers. The second item on our agenda is the election of the Vice Chairman. Could I have a proposal, please, for nomination of Vice Chair?
Chairman, I'd like to nominate Councillor Mumford.
Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Would all those in favour, or can we have any further nominations first, please? Thank you, Councillor
Chairman,
Bartlett.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Mrs. Grottick.
Thank you. Do we? Second, thank you. So if we take the first nomination first, could I have a show, please, from members of those in favour of Councillor Mumford? Thank you. Those, please, in favour of Councillor Grottick? I make that a tie.
Casting vote.
Yes. Members, I will cast my vote in favour of Councillor Grottick in view of the sterling work she's done for this council during the past year. Would you like to come? Thank you.
I, Frances Grottick, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of the Council of the Isles of Scilly, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
This declaration was made and signed before me, Theo Luijs, the prop officer of the Council of the Office.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, colleagues. I shall continue to do my very best for you all and for the council.
You stay. Just here. Who's this?
May I extend my congratulations to you both too. I wonder if the council would indulge me for a moment with a short reflection before we have a prayer. Would you? Okay. Well, I'd like to bring you greetings from our friends in Shetland, where we're currently living, both friends in the church and friends in the council, who they hear about silly from me and others quite often. Now, some of you may be thinking that me being here, a faith representative, is quite irrelevant. But I guess, you know, there's not much any of us stand for that everybody likes, is there? It's not of interest to us. However, thank you very, very much for the invitation to be here this evening. Your representatives and officers give your best to endeavour to improve the community life of those you represent. Safety, food security, education, health, transport, local economy are just a few of the headings that you grapple with. I know that. And people like me are thankful to you and thank God for you. One Old Testament image of a wonderful community is of a person being able to sit under his own fig tree. A sense of belonging where she or he is, with time to occasionally sit and reflect on life, the universe, and everything else. Shalom is the word sometimes used, peace, welfare, hope and excitement. And another little image, if I may just briefly share that with you. Jesus at one point is quoted in the New Testament describing himself as being a gate to a sheepfold, that which provides safety from threat. He or she in such a role puts themselves in the first place of danger when the flock are threatened. And one way of looking at an elected council with selected staff is as a defensive gate, dealing wisely with outside pressures which could diminish the community and guiding and leading those within. Being there for the sheep, and we've got a lot of those in Shetland, a sign of someone on their side who they can look up to and trust. And I just want to say it's wonderful what you're doing. Now, those of you that do pray might want to join me in the words I'm saying, and those of you that don't, perhaps just think about the business of the evening. Almighty God, we are grateful for the freedom to gather, for our freedom of speech, the safety and security we enjoy in our conferring, and the privilege of being able to decide how resources can be allocated. Almighty God, we thank you for this privilege and ask your blessing on the thoughts of our minds and the words of our lips, that what is done here may be to your glory and to the benefit of all, especially any who may feel on the edge or excluded. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Agenda are declarations of interest. If any member has any, please would they speak? Thank you. Item 5 on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting, pages 1 to 10. Confirm as a correct record the minutes of the meeting of the Council of the Isles of Scilly held on the 19th of April 2018. Has any member any comments, please, to make on the minutes? Could I have a proposition then, please? Sorry.
I propose them as a correct record.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank you. All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. Item 6 on the agenda, Chairman's announcements. There are none. Item 7, questions understanding order 14. I understand there are none. Item 8, to consider reports from committees, including the receipt of minutes. I understand there's also none. Item 9, to consider motions in accordance with Standing Order 12. There are none. Item 10 is members' updates. Does any member have any updates for the council, please? Thank you, Councillor Grottick.
Thank you. Chairman, as Vice Chair, I attended the Leadership Board with Chairman Morrison on April the 20th, which was the day after our last full council, and we discussed the New Frontiers document and gave our agreement to the general direction that the document was taking. And there will be further discussion on this document at a later stage. Thank you.
Any further updates, please? Under item 12 is the confirmation of terms of reference of the council bodies. Sorry, missed item 11, urgent items. There is one urgent item, which is to raise the concerns as to the fragility of our transport system. Because we, as you are well aware, do not have a constituted transport board at the present time. We wish to reconvene that board in a very near future. I would hope that members would support that so that a paper can be brought to the next council. Could I have any comments, please, on this?
Can this be discussed? We've got a DPP penciled in at some point soon, haven't we? Can this 24th? Can that be discussed then? And in terms of our proposals for membership and how it's going to convene, and then that a paper written from that and brought back to council, the next council after that. Is that?
Maybe just for clarity, the transport board that was established about 4 years ago is not a formal committee of this council. It's a board of stakeholders that have an interest in, or have an asset, if you like, in the transport system as a whole. So I believe the issue that was raised is to seek strong member support, that this member is concerned about the fragility of the transport system, particularly in the light of recent developments, and that members seek the partnership, if you like, the Transport Partnership Board, to come together fairly rapidly to agree steps that can be undertaken to strengthen the system.
Councillor Barclay.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I instigated this request, and I would ask that, in fact, there will be no delay in convening a special meeting of the council in order to re-establish an Aldersley Transport Board. I, of course, would like to see it in the way I've suggested, with 2 layers, one to discuss strategy and the second layer to be an operators committee. Because I think one reason for the previous board's failure was a confusion between the two, and when transport operators muddied the waters of the stakeholders' ambitions. So I would very much like to propose that we meet quicker than waiting for the DPP, or if the DPP committee can be brought forward. But certainly I think we should aim to have the Transport Board up and running within a month.
Thank you. Councillor Marcus.
This is exactly the kind of discussion we need to have before I think it's brought up in public. I would say we need to get it right, and I can assume that all members are really concerned about transport and really understand its prime importance to the island and the island's economy. But we need to get this right. And if it hasn't been formed for 4 years, another month's not going to make that much difference, to be honest. So I would err on the side of caution and getting things done properly rather than jumping into stuff. So.
Councillor Grottick.
Thank you, Chair. Might I ask Councillor Berkeley if she would be happy with a suggestion for a compromise proposal? That this chamber notes the concerns of members as to the fragility of the transport system at present, and welcomes moves towards reconvening a transport board as a matter of urgency, and that members make resource that the chief executive, together with the chair or vice chair, reconvene that board at the earliest opportunity and send a report as quickly as possible to the next full council with further details.
Councillor Berkeley.
Chairman, I don't see how a meeting can be reconvened when the board isn't determined in its membership. And in fact, then I would rather favour Councillor Marcus's suggestion of going to the DPP and getting the constitution and the membership decided then. It is on the 24th of May, I think, so we can wait that long then, with difficulty.
Thank you. Our monitoring officer would like to speak on this matter.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations on your election to chair. From my perspective, there are some important things to do to make sure that this is right. Stakeholder engagement, to make sure that the people you want to be engaged want to engage. Considering the legal, governance and financial implications and making sure those are right, getting the terms of reference right, and getting the composition right. So there's some work that can usefully be done by officers in that engagement and that exploration. You know, we're only a couple of weeks or so away from the DPP, but I'm sure some of that work can be done for the DPP. But just to emphasise, I completely agree that if you're going to do it right, and for the sake of a month or two, it's better to come out with a good product at the end than a rushed product that you might then have to revisit, embarrassingly perhaps.
Does any other member have anything to say on this matter at the moment? Okay. Would members be happy for the chief executive to take this as an action prior to our DPP meeting?
Yes, so do we need a proposal? Yeah, so I propose that chief exec investigates the best way to reinvigorate the transport board and bring that to DPP.
Under item 12 is the confirmation of terms of reference of council bodies, pages 11 to 38. A report of our Democratic and Services Member Liaison Officer. Okay, our monitoring officer is going to take this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. To help Andy, I'm going to take his reports so that he can take his notes as we go. So Council's required to confirm its terms of reference of its various committees each year. And in that respect, I'd ask you to take the report as read. It's a relatively straightforward report, but also the report touches upon the effectiveness of standing orders, which I think is some work that the DPP want to do, or that the members want to do through the DPP. So you've got two recommendations. First, that you approve the terms of reference as set out in the appendix to the report, and also that there's a review of the effectiveness of standing orders and the annexes to standing orders that should be done through spring 2018. I expect to be involved in that review, and so I give you advance notice that I've got a very busy period over the next few months. And so the extent to which I'm going to be involved with a view to getting a review undertaken in spring 2018 might be limited to some degree. The other thing I'd like to say too is I think there is some merit and touching on a point that Councillor Marcus made in relation to the Democratic Processes panel, because my understanding is correct. It's a panel that meets informally in private to have discussions to formulate recommendations that come forward. I am correct in that, aren't I? Yeah. And so I think it would be helpful, turning to page 37, if under membership we said all elected members sitting as an informal body. And that way you retain that place where you can discuss openly and frankly things, so that when you come before a public session, you've got a good outcome, and everything that should be ironed out is ironed out as far as you can before we get there. So I think that's all I want to say. Happy to help with any questions, although I may turn to Andy if I need to, but otherwise you've got the recommendations there with that suggestion as to the DPP.
Thank you. Members, I would like to take these items each one at a time so that we can see if there's comments about them, please. So first of all, would any member like to comment on the terms of reference for the Health and Wellbeing Board? Councillor Grottick.
Thank you, Chair. If members look at page 15 and note the membership of the Health and Wellbeing Board, the membership is 4 elected members. Listed are the Chair and the Vice Chair of Council and the lead member for Children's Services. A little way into our last council term, we actually added the lead member for adults to be the 4th member of the Health and Wellbeing Board. In fact, Councillor Williams will confirm that the lead member for adults is currently his vice chair on that board. So I would just point out that we have actually agreed the 4th member of that board.
Councillor Williams.
Chairman, we also had the lead member for Smart Islands as a member of the Health and Wellbeing Board. I think that was established a year ago with the intention that as and when Smart Islands becomes more focused on technological advancement, that might feed into Smart Islands activity across the board.
Thank you. Any other comments, please, about the Health and Wellbeing Board? Councillor Williams.
Before the Children's Trust, could we just look at page 18, which is Community Safety Partnership, which is a subgroup of the Health and Wellbeing Board. And from experience, I would say there's a slight disconnect between the Health and Wellbeing Board and its subgroup as the Community Safety Partnership. So Councillor Nellams has been the one elected member to date. I would suggest that we have 2 elected members, one of whom is the chair of the Health and Wellbeing Board. So Councillor Nellums, if he maintained his responsibilities, would be the lead member for community safety, but to reduce the disconnect between the two, I would suggest the Health and Wellbeing Board chairman is also a nominee.
Councillor Grottick.
If you'd like to make a proposal to that effect, Councillor Williams, I'd be happy to second it. I'd be happy to second that.
Thank you. All those in favour? Any against? It's unanimous. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Is the Isles of Scilly Corporate Parenting Panel. Any comments from members, please? Thank you, members. I have actually missed one. It's the Isles of Scilly Children's Trust. Have we any comments from members on that, please? Councillor Watt.
Yeah, Chairman, only a small one. The Devon and Cornwall Police, it lists Sergeant Mary Ross, but she's no longer a member of the police force. So I assume that it would be the current sergeant in our police force here.
Thank you. Any further comments, please? Councillor Williams.
I would just say I find it unhelpful having names. I think it's much more helpful having positions. If we look across various different other organisations, their names have changed. I think in future, if we just stuck to organisations without names, it would be better for us all.
Thank you. Any further comments, please? Right, the next one is the licensing committee. Do we have any comments, please, from members on the licensing committee? Yeah, I'll take this one first anyway. Sorry, I've missed one again, members. Councillor Watt.
Yes, Chairman, just to point out to my, I understand on right at the top of page 32, the local pub watch scheme is no longer in existence.
Thank you. Councillor Sims.
Just with reference to the licensing committee, it would be nice if it met.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I think we had elected chairman last year and that was him.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Well, could I just come back on that one? There are two main items which we need to discuss. One is in preparation, which is the boating license, a new syllabus for boating licensing. And the second thing on licensing is we are pretty much reactive on that. So we're still waiting for something to happen.
Thank you. Right, the next item is the corporate parenting panel, please. Any comments from members on that? Thank you. The next item is the scrutiny committee. Any comments from members, please? Councillor Grottick.
Thank you, Chair. If you could look at page 34, members, and look at S11, I wonder if I could have a little clarification with regard to the approval of capital projects. Am I right in thinking that any significant capital project would surely come to full council for ratification and approval? Perhaps the Chair of Scrutiny could enlighten me.
I would like to ask the monitoring officer to answer that one, please.
I guess I don't get to ask anybody else. so I think, I mean, the scrutiny committee doesn't have any substantive decision-making powers itself. So I think it would be appropriate for that to be amended to say oversight and review of the council's asset management plan and review of capital projects. Because because those are the sort of things you might be wanting to look at to make recommendations to council for improvements for the future. So in both cases where you've got approval there, I'd suggest that becomes review.
Okay.
Thank you. The last item is the democratic processes panel. Apart from the fact that we want it to meet, has any member got any comments on the terms of reference for this, please? Councillor Sims.
I think 5 is a bit of a dog's breakfast of a sentence. On page 37, 5. Oh, the membership shall appoint a chairman at each meeting of the panel.
5 after the 6 or the 5 before the 6?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. The 5 that's in the right place as opposed to the 5 that's not tending to be 7.
Thank you. Any other observations, please? Okay, thank you. So can we please go back to the recommendations? Could I have a proposition, please, that members approve the terms of reference as shown in the appendix to this report?
With the amendments. Yeah, with the amendments.
Yeah. Yes.
Including the suggestion that the membership is all elected members in a informal setting.
Thank you. So could I have a proposition, please?
Propose that.
And the seconder. Thank you. All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. It's unanimous. And the second recommendation, that a review of the effectiveness of standing orders and the annexes to standing orders takes place during the spring of 18. In other words, now. Could I have a proposer for that, please? Sorry, monitoring officer.
Could I just ask, Chair, whether, given the other commitments I have, because as I said, I expect to be involved in this, whether it could commence during spring 2018 with a view to an early conclusion. Necessarily, it'll have to be driven by democratic processes panel. Timetable wouldn't be dictated by me, it can't be. But I think realistically, I don't think I can put enough time into doing a good job for this to be completed during the spring. And I don't want to set myself up to fail, and I don't want to let you down in terms of time scale. So I'd sooner be realistic at the outset.
So could we have a time scale when we do the democratic processes panel? Could we sort it then? Thank you. Are members comfortable with that, please? So on that basis, could I have a proposal?
Yeah, so the proposal is that a review of the effectiveness of standing orders and the annexes to standing orders takes place. Propose that. Commencing in April, yeah.
And a seconder, please. Thank you. All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. It's unanimous. The next item on the agenda is the internal item 13, internal appointments, page 39. Andrew, are you the monitoring officer again? Thank you.
Take Andrew's reports for him. As members should take the report as read, you're used to doing this. I simply ask that you work through the appointments and make those that you're asked to make.
Councillor Mumford.
Well, recommendation number 1 is the licensing committee, which is full council anyway, so I recommend that we all sit on licensing. And it comprises of members of the council, with the exception of the chairman of the council. Sorry, yes, with the exception of the chairman.
Yeah.
Chairman, by way of explanation.
So Can we take the items one by one, please? Number 1 first. I'll take your proposal. Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. Item 2, that members appoint 9 councillors to the scrutiny committee for the ensuing year. Councillor Sims?
We have a slight issue with this one, given that there is now a vacancy for the lead member for place who cannot be on the scrutiny committee. I would suggest that we come back after it, after that position's been filled, because, well, for obvious reasons, because you can't be both.
Yeah. Any other comments, please?
I would agree with that, if we could come back to that after we've done the lead members.
Yeah. So could I have a proposition for deferral, please?
I'll for the deferral.
Don't need to.
No,
okay.
just have it a bit later
All right,
on.
thank you. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Comment from our monitoring officer that we bring forward item 6, which might help this situation. So item 6 reads that members appoint a lead member for children and any other lead members they consider appropriate. Councillor Sims.
I would like to nominate Councillor Williams as lead member for children.
Thank you. Seconded by Andy Guy. Are there any other nominations, please? Thank you. Will we have a proposition for Councillor Williams? All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. So, Councillor Grottick.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Davis for the lead member for adults continued role, and he is happy to be nominated. He's done an enormous amount of work in this field in this last year.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Guy. Are there any other nominations, please? All those in favour of Councillor Davis? Any against? Thank you. Carried. To the next one. Members, can we take Smart Islands now, please? If you wish to appoint a lead member for Smart Islands, could I please have a nomination? Councillor Barclay.
To nominate Councillor Jonathan Smith.
He doesn't want to do it.
Oh, he told me he did.
I spoke to him. So I spoke to him about 6 o'clock. He doesn't.
When did you talk to him? 6:10?
No, I talked to him about a week ago.
I think Jonathan sent an email round to members to say that he didn't.
I didn't get council.
No, he does not wish to continue at the present time. Councillor Guy. That's a nomination for Councillor Sims, seconded by Councillor Watt. Are there any other nominations, please? Are you happy to stand, Councillor Sims?
I would be happy to stand, but can I suggest again? I'm sorry to muck this up left, right, and centre. Could we do place first? Because I would rather do the lead member for place, and I don't know if you can do 2 lead member roles. I have no idea what the situation is for that. I mean, if you can do both roles, I would be happy to do both roles. I think they fit in very nicely with each other.
Okay. Members, we do need to make clear whether you wish to vote for the same lead member roles that we had last year, or whether you wish to make changes. So could we establish that first?
No,
please?
we don't have to, do we? we can change lead member roles as and when we want to as DP. So we can, if no one wants to stand for a lead member role, we can leave it blank.
No, but this,
So-
I think in order for the process to work smooth, I think it is important that members express their views and their wishes, whether they wish to have lead members and for which
And we will do that in
areas.
DPP, not necessarily, we don't have to do it now. I don't think we have to fill all the roles now, do we?
You don't need to. No, you
No.
don't need to fill any.
Councillor Mumford,
Could I make a suggestion, please, Chairman?
certainly.
That the lead members' roles, apart from the one that we've already done, could, if people aren't very sure about what they want to do, we're going to discuss the terms of reference in DPP. Could we not wait until the next full council meeting and then after the DPP meeting and then do the lead member roles for the ones that people aren't very sure about?
Thank
Would that
you.
be possible?
Councillor Grottick.
There seems quite a, I would agree with that with regard to some of the roles. However, I would remind colleagues that the Sustainable Transformation Plan work is ongoing, and I don't think we should not have a representative with regard to that. So with regard to health and social care integration, we have just actually agreed that Councillor Davies should remain in post. So we have actually agreed not only the lead member for children role, but we have actually agreed the lead member for adults role as well.
I'd agree with that. We've already done that one.
Yes, that's right. I was just clarifying.
I'm talking about the ones, if nobody comes up for, nobody wants it, then it could be discussed at the next council meeting after we've had a DPP to discuss the terms of reference.
Yes.
Councillor Sims.
I would suggest that we cross that bridge when we come to it. We haven't got any that nobody wants to do yet.
Councillor Guy.
Chairman, can I nominate for lead member of place Councillor Steve Sims?
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a proposal for lead member for place for Councillor Sims. Are there any other nominations, please? Would you show in favour of Councillor Sims, please? Thank you. It's unanimous. Sorry, any against? That's unanimous. Thank you. So, members, do you wish to appoint a lead member for planning? Councillor Mumford.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Marcus.
Seconded by Councillor Sims. Any other nominations, please? Councillor Williams.
No, my light's been on a while. I just think we have to find a more elegant solution to this debate. It just seems like pass for parcel every year. I think we need to go to DPP or take advice from how others do it, but it just seems a very clumsy process. But after that, I'd totally support Councillor.
Councillor Sims.
I think it's been going on like this in one form or another since 1892, whenever the council started. But good luck with that.
Thank you. So are we going to take the proposal for Councillor Marcus for planning, or are we leaving it to the DPP? Sorry?
I think it's been proposed and seconded. So
Yes. So
I think we should take it.
there's no other nominations. All those in favour, please. Any against? Yeah, that's carried. Thank you. So, members, do you wish to appoint a lead member for Smart Islands now?
I think it's absolutely essential we have a lead member for Smart Islands. It would look like a real dereliction of duty if the council didn't appoint a member for Smart Islands.
Councillor Berkeley.
Chairman, I'd like the opportunity to reflect on this because, as I say, I asked Councillor Smith, and when I did ask, he was in favour of continuing, but I now need to reflect, and I think it's a role worthy of some consideration. And if it waits till the DPP meeting, so what? As we've heard, it's only a fortnight away. We won't become unsmart in that time.
I would like to say from the chair that in conversations with Councillor Smith, I think that if we have convened the DPP and indeed there is a remuneration for Smart Islands, he may be able to consider continuing. So maybe we should think about that as well, members, please. Councillor Legg.
Thank you, Chairman. Further to that, I would suggest that some terms of reference for the lead members is a priority, as I believe being unsure of the role of lead member for Smart Islands is a significant reason for not taking the position. So I would propose deferral until after the DPP meeting for deciding a lead member for Smart Islands.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Barclay, thank you. Any other comments? Right, we have a proposer and a seconder to defer the lead member for Smart Islands consideration. All those in favour? Any against? It's unanimous. Thank you. The next item is the lead member for Finances and Resources. Councillor Mumford.
I'd like to propose Councillor Mawson for Finance and Resources. No? Okay.
Councillor Guy. Is there a seconder, please?
Second.
And Steve Watt. Any other nominations? Could you please show all those in favour of the Vice Chairman for lead member for Finance? Any against? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Chair, could I just point out that the rest of the recommendations 1 to 5 are as we stand now, if that helps focus people's minds.
So could I ask members if the rest of the recommendations there, which is what we have at the moment, if members require any change to that, please? Councillor Mumford.
Yes, the Scrutiny Committee, which is 9 councillors, as Councillor Sims has become the lead member for Place, he will be unable to sit on scrutiny. I would like to suggest that Councillor Mawson came on to scrutiny.
You happy with that? Seconded by Councillor Grottick. Are there any other nominations, please? All those in favour? Any against? It's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any other changes recommended, please, by members? So could I have a proposal, please, that we confirm the rest of these recommendations? Councillor Mumford.
I'd like to propose we do all the recommendations together.
Yeah.
Confirm.
Yeah, 3, 4, that's 3, 4 and 5. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Guy. All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. Yes. That's just to confirm that the councillors previously serving will continue. Yeah. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the external appointments, page 43. You can see the recommendations before you. Do we have any comments, please, about these recommendations? The monitoring officer, please.
Thank you, Chair. I believe I'm right in saying that at page 49, the STP subcommittee has been abolished. Correct.
That's correct.
And so no
we don't
appointment
need to
to
appoint to that committee.
required.
Councillor Sims.
I'm not altogether sure. I believe Councillor Smith is our rep on the local nature partnership. I'm not actually absolutely sure, but I'm aware that he wishes to. Oh, in that case, it's fine. It's just take it as read.
I propose we keep everyone, as long as everyone's happy, continuing on in their roles, that we do it all on block. And if everyone's happy doing that, then I propose that all the appointments are the same.
Chairman, there is actually a change, I think, actually within the report. So if you look at page 47, there is a change of recommendation in terms of the National Association of Areas of Outstanding Natural Beauty. And the recommendation is actually to embed that member actually within the partnership, the AONB partnership itself. At the moment, there is a bit of a disconnection with the current representation actually for that particular role.
Thank you. Councillor Grottick.
Thank you, Chair. We're on page 47 with the first of these appointments. And I would just like to say that I spoke to Mr. Johan Hicks the other day, and he is very anxious to continue this role. He was a long-standing member of this authority, and he has a fervent interest in the environment and other related issues. He did mention that he would like further clarity in his role so that he would feel more comfortable in it, and I think that would be something possibly that we could also look at the DPP. But for the moment, I personally would like to ask and propose that Mr. Johan Hicks retain the appointment he currently has.
Thank you. Councillor Legg.
I was about to second it as well, having spoken to him earlier in the day. I can echo Councillor Grottick's opinion that he is keen to continue.
Yeah. Thank you. All those in favour, please, of retaining Johan Hicks? Any against? That's carried. Thank you. So I just propose to go through these bodies one by one. If there's any comments, please, and then we will take them all together. The Local Nature Partnership.
We keep this. So, Craig, coming back to your point, what change are you?
Okay, so Chairman, the change in terms of the local nature partnership representation, we're recommending that it should be connected actually to one of the members who actually sit on the AONB partnership. At the moment, it's just a coincidence that Councillor Jonathan Smith is both our local nature partnership representation as well as being a member of the AONB partnership. So we want to ensure there is absolute alignment.
Okay, so can we make that change to
Jonathan Smith?
Well, Jonathan, he is both of them, but
yeah. I know Councillor Smith would like to continue with this.
Councillor Sims.
Just amend it so it's one appointment, really. I suggest we do that, and then it streamlines it forever afterwards.
Are you happy with that, Craig? So could you make a proposal, please?
Yes, but with the reviso, I'm not sure we're quite finished with it yet. Councillor Nellums is also on the AONB.
Chairman, at the moment, we do actually have two members of council on the AONB partnership, and that would still be the recommendation. But one of the roles is actually aligned to the LNP. Does that make sense?
Councillor Sims.
So I would propose what I said before, really, because I don't think that makes a fundamental difference, does it? The member on the Local Nature Partnership is also on the ANOB, and with an additional member on the A. Yeah, okay.
And I propose that the LNMP member is Jonathan Smith and the OMB member is Mike Nellams.
But just for clarification, Councillor Jonathan Smith is also on the AONB partnership as well.
Yes.
Are members clear what they're voting for here? Yep, just checking.
Right. All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. So the Cornwall Rural Community Council Board of Trustees.
I propose
Councillor Marcus.
I propose Councillor Barclay.
All those in favour? Thank you. The NAAONB.
I think that goes with the lead member of place.
Yeah, the Southwest Regional Flood and Coastline Committee.
That goes with
The lead member
lead
for
member
place.
for place, yeah.
Yep.
I propose that.
Yeah, seconder. All in favour? Thank you.
Voting against having been to their meetings before.
Yes, I have. So which is the next one?
This one you can skip.
Yeah.
This one you can skip. This one you need. Four-year appointment. Do it now. Yeah, the next one.
So could we please take the NHS Foundation Trust, Governor for the Council of the Isles of Scilly. I understand, Councillor Barclay, that you've resigned from this, is that right?
I did, and I've sent a copy of the letter to the Chief Executive. I'm sorry I had to resign, but it was just too difficult to get to, out of the way places and a lack of clarity in the role.
Thank you. So, members, we need another appointment. This is a 4-year appointment. Could I have a nomination, please? Councillor Mumford.
No.
The monitoring officer wishes to comment. Yeah. Are members happy that it's for the remainder of the 4-year term? In other words, 3 years rather than 4 years? Yeah. Yeah. Councillor Grottick.
I'd just like to make a plea. The travel is difficult. I served for a year and they are rather out of the way, some of the locations, but it is interesting. And I really think with the health and social care integration agenda that we have at the moment, I really hope that this council can retain its role. I would be happy to put myself forward to cover, if you like, while members have a little bit more. I feel that we haven't been appraised of the fact that Councillor Lady Barclay had actually resigned. I was not actually aware of that, although, and please don't apologise. It's just that I feel that I would like to have the time to tell, and I'm sure Councillor Lady Barclay would help me, educate other members as to the value of this role, and please could somebody think about it. Councillor Molson, would you consider it at all? No.
Councillor Sims.
I have meant to bring this up at previous meetings, but it relates to the point that Councillor Lady Bartley just made. Some of these meetings, particularly in the winter, are in absolutely crazy places. I went to, I don't know what it was. It was triangle, right in smack between this card, somewhere else beginning with L, and it's nowhere. And it was so difficult to get to. And maybe if we could make some sort of representation to these bodies to think that we've actually got to get there. And it's a terrible problem sometimes, particularly for members who don't drive.
Any other comments, please, or do we have a seconder that Councillor Grottick fulfills this role in the meantime? Seconded by Councillor Guy. All those in favour? Any against? Unanimous, thank you. Next item is the Medical Travel and Transport Group.
Propose Councillor Legg.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any other nominations? All those in favour of Councillor Legg? Any against? Thank you. It's unanimous. Okay. So, where are we now? Which is the next one? No, it's new. Yeah. Island Futures. Do you want to say anything about the Island Futures Board? Yeah.
No, it's finished. It's gone. It's finished. It's abolished.
Do you want to tell members that? Okay. Right. The next item is the Island Futures Board. Do we have any comments about that, please?
STP role before that one, isn't it?
No, that's what we referred to earlier, both the monitoring officer and myself. That committee no longer exists, and therefore we do not need to appoint a person.
You were going to talk about the Island Futures. You wanted another member on it.
Yes.
Island Future is Chair of Council, according to this, so I propose Chair of Council.
Yeah. Councillor Grottick.
Might I make a suggestion that another member join the Island Futures Board as well? I would like to suggest the lead member for place actually sits on the Island Futures Board to keep the continuity in case one or other of our nominees is away. It is an important forum, and I think that would be helpful. I'd appreciate members' views on that.
In relation to the Island Futures Board, there is one position for the local authority on this partnership board, and traditionally the chairman has been the person that sits on the board, but the lead member for place would step in case the chairman was not available.
Councillor Sims.
When it's on that same point, I'm perfectly happy with that, but I do think that there's lots of these things. It would be quite useful if we actually had somebody who was delegated deputy to go on these things, because sometimes people simply can't do it, and I think we could maybe put some sort of provision in for that. I don't think any of the other bodies would have any issues with it unless they're very, very formally constructed.
That's correct. So for the Islands Futures Board, we'll seek a named individual as a deputy. Yeah.
No, I meant in a more general sense, though, really. Yeah.
Councillor Grottick.
Yes, at the moment, the vice chair does sit in if the chair is away. I was just wondering, but now I understand it's not possible, that a second member might have a permanent seat, because it is quite difficult hitting the ground running if you just deputise occasionally rather than go to meetings on a regular basis when you can follow the thread. But perhaps that's something we could also look at DPP. It's becoming to have a very crowded agenda.
I'm sure it would be permissible for the Island Future Board if both members turned up and one just sat down, and then you keep up to speed, don't you?
Yeah. The next item to be considered is the Communications Working Group. Any comments on that, please? Councillor Grottick.
One or two members have mentioned to me that it might be a good idea to defer the communications group until we have a little bit more discussion around the remit of communications and how we're going to approach action on this. So I wonder what members think about that. I'm just relaying members' comments, including the Jonathan Smith, who's not with us this evening.
Councillor Sims.
Again, it's another, I'm on it as well. It's another group that doesn't seem to meet. I think that 3 members on it is insufficient, really, because you do need a little bit more. I would suggest 5. And yes, perhaps it does need some sort of terms of reference as well, but I don't see any issue appointing members who wish to go on it, and then how it's supposed to work can be drilled into later on.
Well, clearly communications is very, very important. So hopefully we can deal with this at the DPP. Councillor Watt.
Yes, Chairman, one of the issues, of course, is lack of resources for communications. If that was made clear, then the 3 or 5, the group could move forward.
Thank you. So are you happy, members, that we defer this to the DPP? Okay.
I'll propose that.
All those in favour? Any against? Thank you. Can I just confirm that members are happy with the leadership board? Anything to be said about that? Okay, thank you. The next item, yeah. Thank you. The next item is item 15, appointments to the Richard Addison Charitable Trust, page 53 to 56. A report of...
I'll take this one.
Okay, the Chief Executive Officer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. The paper as read, the Addison Trust is starting to do some really good work and actually is getting into action. There's 2 recommendations for the report. The first is that members rescind the appointments that were made on the 25th of May 2017 of the Chairman of Council as the nominated managing trustees. This recommendation is there to correct and to align our appointments with the terms and the regulation of the trust. Second recommendation is that members appoint 3 named individuals as nominated managing trustees to the Richard Addison Charitable Trust.
Councillor Sims.
Do we have individuals? Oh, good, okay. In that case, I propose that we accept those individuals unless it's more than 3.
Councillor Mumford.
I'd like to propose that Sue Pritchard and Andrew Guy, and did we say that the chairman of council, is that a role?
No,
for
the
him,
recommendation is to rescind that position because officially there's only 2 positions in the...
Oh, right. So there's only going to be 2 trustees?
Yeah. So it is aligning our appointments with the Addison Trust. Yeah.
Fine. I'd like to propose Sue Pritchard and Andrew Guy then, please.
Thank you. Before we take that, Councillor Grottick.
Thank you. I thought we were going to actually reappoint 3 of the current nominated trustees who wish to be reappointed. So, with Councillor Ted Molson as a named individual rather than as a post holder. Would that not be appropriate?
Yeah. Councillor Mumford.
Could I ask the Chief Executive, please, are we appointing 3 trustees here or 2?
I think we are appointing 3 named individuals. We're not appointing a role. Yeah.
The third, it doesn't automatically go to the chairman of the council.
Correct.
So I would like to nominate Councillor Mawson because he's been doing it.
Yeah.
And just to keep some continuity with Richard Addison first.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Marcus. Are there any other nominations? Well, we don't need one, but Councillor Grottick.
Well, I would like to propose that we appoint Ted Molson, Sue Pritchard and Andrew Guy for the 3 positions. Yeah, just clarifying that.
Yeah. Right, all those in favour, please. Any against? Carried, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the update on the local plan preparation timetable, report from our Senior Officer of Planning and Development Management, pages 57 to 68.
Thank you, Chair. This is a report to update members on the current progress and timescales for progressing the adoption of a new local plan, as well as to agree the adoption of a revised timetable. Members will note the good progress made to date with the current draft plan, which is out to public consultation until this Friday. Subject to the level of responses we receive and the complexity of any amendments, we anticipate the publication of a pre-submission draft of the local plan in July, ahead of submitting to the Secretary of State. A report to members at the July full council will endeavour to communicate these details at that time. Members will also note that the national consultation is currently underway in relation to proposed revisions to the National Planning Policy Framework, and officers would like to ensure that any significant changes can be reflected in the draft plan moving forward. An early assessment of the potential issues to address have been included in the report, and officers are seeking advice from consultants who carried out the SHMA to determine the likely implications of issues such as calculations for housing need. Work remains within the budget of this year's, within budget, and this year's budget has been set to ensure we move forward with the submission and examination as planned.
Councillor Marcus.
Yeah, I'd like to just ensure that we will have a local plan working group once we get the collated feedback of the consultation, and just ensure that the public knows and reiterate to the public that Friday is the deadline for representations to be made. Could the officer highlight how many representations have been made so far?
Yes, I think we're up to 17 responses, but a lot of the statutory consultees wait until right at the end, so probably a lot more will come in this week.
Any other comments, please?
So it's probably just worth members, if anyone has any questions to members, just get them to make sure, urge them to write in and put those questions in writing. Facebook and talking doesn't count, so.
Any other comments, please? Thank you. So we have a recommendation that members agree to adopt the revised local plan preparation timetable, LDS5, as the up-to-date timetable for local plan preparation. Could I have a, thank you. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Mumford. All those in favour? Any against? It's carried. Thank you. The next item, item 17, for the planning application P18013, the packing shed and greenhouse St Martin's, page 69 to 94, report of the Senior Officer of Planning Development Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so members did a site visit to this site last week, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, found that interesting. This is a resubmission application of a previously refused application, which is now being revised and amended and resubmitted. In order to address the previous reasons for refusal, the applicant now intends to reuse the main building of the packing shed rather than rebuild it. It has minimum openings. It is proposed to rebuild both the modern garage along the same footprint, but with a more traditional roof profile. is also proposed to rebuild the greenhouse structure. This retains elements suggestive of its former greenhouse use, with windows along the ridge and the windows along the front elevation. This retains a greenhouse form and scale similar to other greenhouses on St Martin's. Officers consider that the proposed holiday let use in connection with the applicant's two existing holiday lets is supportive of the rural economy on St Martin's and will bring back into use a range of visually important buildings within the conservation area without giving rise to significant harm. And subject to the conditions set out in the report, it is recommended for approval.
Any comments, please? Councillor Marcus.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the officer for arranging and staff for arranging a trip over there. It was very informative. I think the plans will add some clarity and some tidiness to what is effectively a gateway to the rest of the island for St Martin's. It's good that now the applicant is retaining the fabric of the main building there, and I think potentially it could look quite a good addition. It's also worth noting there's been one representation against the plans, but given the improvements to the building and into the natural environment there, I am minded to propose approval of the plans.
Any further comments, please? Councillor Mumford.
Yes, I think one of the things about the last lot of plans that went in was the opening onto the road, which we weren't keen about. But I'm assured that it's going to be where the greenhouse is, which is set back a bit. So the actual stone cottage is going to be a false door.
Yes, that's correct.
And I'm right in saying there's going to be no window on the top?
No, the window, which
they've taken
just
the window
above
away.
the door, will not. It will be removed.
Yeah. Yes, I think, although the people opposite aren't keen on it, but that was my main thing, was the door opening onto the road. I didn't like that, and it is set back a bit. It's in line with the other houses.
Yeah, I think they're keeping the remains of the window, so the detail of the window, but it will not function as a window. You can look at the floor plan on bedroom 2. There's no window.
So it won't be overlooking onto the other property, which was another problem. Yes, I'd like to propose.
Second.
Oh, second it. Sorry.
Can I just
Are
add?
there any other comments before we take the vote, please?
Yeah, sorry, can I just add that there's an extra condition recommended because there was a missing plan, which was the section through the building that showed the profile of the greenhouse as rebuilt. So there's an extra condition recommended to provide those details of how it attaches onto the adjacent property at Hilldrop. That's the section that's now been provided.
Yeah, so I'll amend that proposal to be proposed with those amendments.
And I'll second that.
Okay. So can we vote on the amendment, therefore, please? All in favour? Thank you. The next item is item 18, the application 021 in Decker Lane, St Mary's. Again, the report of our Senior Officer Planning and Development Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application submitted by an officer of the council. The application is for a single garage to be used ancillary to the property known as Hillborough. It will be located in the front garden adjacent to existing high boundary hedge. The proposal is not considered to give rise to any significant harm to the wider landscape or neighbouring amenity. And on this basis, the application, subject to the conditions set out, is recommended for approval.
Councillor Marcus.
Yeah, I propose that we approve the recommendation.
Seconder. Councillor Guy. All those in favour of approval? Any against? It's carried. Thank you.
Sorry,
We now come on to part 2, but there is some discussion around item 19. Councillor Grottick.
Sorry.
Yeah, do you want to go first? Thank you.
Thank you, members. Just a brief report here around what the work's been done around housing in this last year. It's a reflection really on what's been happening. It's been an interesting and challenging year, my first year as well. I think we could best describe what we're doing is sorting out the bread and butter of the housing service. And you'll see within the report, there are a number of challenges that we're facing, particularly around repairs and maintenance. I think we can take heart from some of the report in terms of the fact they've done high rental collection, relatively low void levels, but we have got some issues around relet times. So I think moving forward, there's some key performance indicators we'd like to introduce for the service. We're doing some benchmarking work with other councils around the country and housing associations. We want to set the standard, want to set our stall out to succeed, and there's some work to do in relation to...
Yeah, just interrupt there. Well, I thought this was in part 2.
Yes. Okay.
Some of the maintenance might be involved, so in the room.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, continue.
Thank you. I don't know where I was now, I was in fourth row. So we want to set some key performance indicators up so we know whether we're succeeding or not. We know in some areas we've got improvements to make, particularly around customer satisfaction and our repairs and maintenance service. We have done some work around capital projects this year, and we will continue to invest in our properties. But to inform that investment, I think we need to now do a stock condition survey to inform that asset management profile and our investment moving forward. So I'd like to bring you to the recommendations. One's to note the overview of the service delivery, which is for information, and I'd like to amend recommendation 2. It's really for members to note the need for us to commission a stock condition survey as we move forward into this coming year, and make sure that we get that information that will inform our asset management and repairs programme as we move forward. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Do you wish to comment, Monitor Officer? No. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Sims.
My recollection may be incorrect. I thought we did something very similar to this not that long ago. However, I would accept that a stock condition survey should be an ongoing rolling process anyway.
Yeah, I did a bit of digging back. In 2013, members approved a stock, what they called it, a stock options analysis, which ended up as £35,000. So has anyone got any recollection? I couldn't find anything in the papers about it. So, but there was some mention of it actually happening. So I'd like to bring that up, and also just about costs for repair and maintenance as well. We've got instances here, we've got no idea of how much it costs. So it'd be really good to get some see whether repairs and maintenance are ongoing or on the same properties, and see the patterns behind them. So,
are you happy with that?
I think what we've got to do is that's the bread and butter stuff. I think what we haven't got is a proper record of where we are now, which is where that's what we need to get to throughout stock condition survey, properly recording our repairs and maintenance, and then looking at our investment moving forward, how best to use the funds that we've got, and seeking value for money from those contracts that we go out for.
Sure, yeah, because to go another 4 years and spend another 30 grand is not acceptable. So
I think the main thing here is that it's a stock condition survey for a purpose, and I think you use a stock condition survey to inform your asset management plan and to inform your forward repair programme. So I'd expect you to be challenging me back if we don't bring those things back to you at this time next year.
Councillor Sims.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. I'm reading through it. I certainly get the impression that our operational services are a little bit under-resourced for doing all this. I know that Craig has been diligently trying to upskill our operational services. I mean, so how's it going?
Chairman, the whole issue around operational services is going to be subject to review in its own right. So we just look at the structure, the organisation, and to see if it can actually deliver better for the local authority, which might mean some reinvestment potentially in the operational services team, because what we do want to do is recycle as much money within the council, because there have been sort of issues in terms of cost of repairs and maintenance, particularly where we're using external contractors from the mainland.
Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you. 2.7 mentions right to buy. So I was just, am I right in assuming that when a property goes through right to buy, the money generated goes into a fund which then can be reinvested in our housing stock?
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you, members. So it's just to confirm that we are just noting this. There's no need for approval. Could I have any comments, if required, please, on item 20, the delegated planning applications, or on the lead member reports? Yes, thank you. If you could bring Councillor Guy in. Okay. Councillor Sims.
It's agenda item 21, the report from the lead member from adults. It's this Haven Trellis thing. I'm not. Is this actually anything to do with the council? I'm not sure if it is. I don't mind having the update, but I thought this was nothing to do with the local authority, or is it? The hostel thing being built near Trellis.
Well, I think Councillor Davis thought it would be of interest to members, so he's included in his report.
It's absolutely fine, but it's just I was asked if it's a council project by somebody, and it's not, as far as I know.
No.
So I just wanted clarification that it's not, or it is.
No, it's not. No, thank you. Are there any other comments, please, on either of these two agenda items? Well, thank you, members. Close the meeting at 8 o'clock. Thank you. Sorry? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I might get better at taking meetings in the future. Just a bit.